When I was 18 and my brother was 22, we found out our mom had an affair in the early years of my parents' marriage. My dad was clueless about this too. She ended up leaving our dad and revealing he wasn't our bio father, her affair partner was. DNA confirmed this was true. Our dad was there for us and for a few months things seemed like they would stay relatively normal. But then my brother decided he felt bad for the guy who didn't know we existed and wanted a relationship. He started treating our dad as a bank instead of a dad. Dad paid for him to meet our bio father, and then my brother acted like he was supposed to pay for other stuff for them. My dad said no. He said he didn't want to pay for anything for that man. My brother told him it wasn't for bio dad, it was for him. That he is his son and as a father he should put his hurt aside for him. When the bio was made homeless, my brother expected my dad to pay for him to rent a place. My dad said no. And that was the start of an estrangement that lasted until my dad died a couple of years ago. The estrangement continued for so long because at age 26 my brother had our bio father adopt him again because he felt bad. He tried to pressure me to do the same, but I didn't meet the dude. My brother wanted me to, but as I told him, it held no interest to me. The man died 7 years ago and he was broken up about it. Especially because I showed no grief at all and told him it didn't upset me at all. It was after our dad died that my brother really started to feel guilt. Dad kept our childhood home and he left it all to me. Our brother used to love that house. It was where he went through a lot as a kid. And he asked if I would split that in half with him and let him buy it one day. I said no. That I wanted to live there, and after everything he didn't deserve to just inherit his half like he didn't treat our dad like crap. He told me I was an idiot for punishing him so much. That he has suffered enough because of it and has to live with the consequences. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your brother was 22 when this started. I'm sure your brother feels guilty, but he also wants the house for himself. He isn't even asking to share, he wants you to give him half and let him buy the other half. As he chose to cut off your dad, I think he has made his bed and has to lie in it. I am assuming that you have clearly seen both sides of this. One pragmatic thing, in cases like this, it doesn't seem like anything under half is enough, and even then they aren't happy or grateful. I bet he would pressure you to sell the other half below market value. Your brother didn't mind breaking your dad's heart, yours too from the sound of it, and your dad decided to reward the child in his will who did not break his heart. Just because your brother claims to have suffered enough doesn't mean he gets to leech off your inheritance. He should have considered the possible consequences of being adopted by his bio dad. It means it cut those legal ties to your dad. He doesn't have a leg to stand on, but that greed and entitlement of his is something to behold. He can go apologize at your dad's grave and work to make himself a better person. But like the rest of us, he can't change the past, only look toward the future. You owe him nothing. Your brother was an idiot to your dad. It was a conscious decision to leave the house to you and not your brother. You are not the idiot for keeping it to yourself. Your brother sounds like the kind of person who'll just use people and look to gain financially from them, no matter what. Don't feel guilty about this. And aside, if I found out my dad wasn't biologically my father, I wouldn't give a crap in terms of how I think about him. That man is my dad and always will be, no matter what. Nobody else ever will be. He's been an amazing dad and an amazing friend. I don't understand people who drop parents once they find out they aren't blood related. I, 31, have been with my wife, 29, for 4 years now. We have a 2-year-old daughter together and we live in a fairly nice neighborhood. When I was growing up, my mother was arrested for drugs and alcohol. She was released when I turned 18 and I've had very little contact with her since. She's met my wife a few times and each time made horrible remarks about her. For instance, we went out to dinner once and my wife ordered a chicken dish. My mother looks at the dish being placed in front of my wife and says, "Are you sure you want to eat that?" I got our food wrapped up and left. I made my wife knew that I would always have her back. My mom did come to the dinner after the wedding and got very drunk. I decided to cut complete contact with her after the wedding dinner. My brother, 35, came over for dinner recently with his wife and their son. My brother and I aren't super close, but he was in town visiting some friends. My brother let me know that our mother was struggling with health issues and could no longer afford to live on her own. He suggested letting her move in with my wife and I didn't even have to think about the suggestion. I told him that I did not want her moving in with us. Brother's wife looked upset and practically begged us to let her stay. I firmly told them both no and wanted nothing to do with her. They left and a few days later, my phone was blowing up with messages from my mom's family calling me a horrible son. Am I the idiot for not letting my mother move in with my wife and I? Not the idiot. I'm sorry, but I find it hilarious that the brother's wife practically begged you to take the mother in. She obviously doesn't want the mother living with them, so why is it okay for you to take her? I would either reply back to every family member and say, I'm sorry, but we are not in the position to take care of anyone else. Maybe she will be happy at your house. Or I wouldn't reply to any of them at all. They all sound delusional and borderline abusive. Stand firm and take care of your little family. Your child is in formative years now. Her character is being developed. Children pick up many traits, behaviors, addictions, and even language and beliefs from the people they are exposed to when young. Anybody living in your household is going to have a huge impact on the person your child becomes. It seems from your description that your mother is not a person you would choose to be a significant influence on your child's development. If that is the case, this is a definite no. Moving your mother in sounds like a recipe for disaster all around, including the strain it would inevitably take on your marriage. And it's very telling that your sister-in-law practically begged you to take her in, presumably because your mother moving in with her is an alternative that she doesn't want to consider. Dealing with aging parents can be rough, but either they can take on the responsibility, as no one blaming them for being horrible for not taking her in too, or you can strategize together to take advantage of government or other resources in your area to find her a suitable living arrangement. I, 25, finished my master's degree this past spring and decided to move back to my hometown to be closer to my parents and brother. My parents are separated and my brother Alex, 14, usually lives with my mom during the school year. I wanted to be there for his first day of high school, so I got up early, went to McDonald's to get us some breakfast and went to my mom's house. My mom's husband answered the door and let me in. I asked my mom where Alex was and she said he was at Dad's house. I asked why. She told me he was staying with Dad until he could behave better with his siblings. He has 3 stepbrothers around his age. I said my usual greetings and goodbyes and made my way to leave. My mom's husband asked why I was leaving and I told him I was going to see Alex. He looked upset but said goodbye anyways. I spent the rest of the morning with Alex and my dad and drove him to school. My mom texted me calling me an idiot cause I showed up with McDonald's in a house full of my step-siblings. I don't know them or consider them family and don't offer them any or wish them well on their first day. She said what I did was rude because her husband's kids saw me with food and thought I was there for them. She asked me to come back around the time they get home and to take them out so they didn't feel left out. I asked if Alex would be there and she said no, so I told her I'd be happy to take Alex out with the kids if Alex wanted to go out with them. He of course said no and now she's accusing me of trying to break up her family. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're 11 years older than your step-siblings. The family relationship between you will be limited just in that nature because you're all in different life spaces. Your mom's Brady Bunch vision is unrealistic and her accusations that you're trying to break up her family are off base. And if you're feeling spicy, point out that she is doing her part to break up the family by shipping her son off to live with his dad when things got rough instead of working on it at home. That would do absolutely nothing to help things and would likely pour gasoline on a fire, but hey, sometimes I like to stir up trouble. Ask your mother, is there any reason you didn't tell me Alex was now living with Dad? If she isn't treating them all the same, or she has imposed rules that never used to apply, she cannot announce that you are being unfair. She should have had this discussion prior to combining families. Sounds like her husband has decided that he gets a bigger percentage of the rules because he has more kids at home. Not the idiot. But your mom sure as hell is. She's guilt-tripping you about buying food for someone else's kids, not cool, and she intentionally withheld the fact that your bro had been sent to Dad's place because she knew full on well that if you knew where Alex was, you'd go there instead. As far as the claim that the steps thought you were there for them, A, that's probably bullcrap. B, if it's not bullcrap, then steps are equally as manipulative as your mom, because it's clear they're old enough to fully comprehend the family dynamics. My dad got married last year, and for a while, his wife's kid's been living here too. I, 16, hate it to be honest, cause there is no privacy. We have to share everything, even my room, to her other two sons, Bryce, 15, and Alan, 9. And everything is family time. If we're going to get ice cream, or see a movie, or go to the park, it has to be everyone or no one goes. Like, yeah, I guess I'm used to only doing stuff with my dad and my older brother, 24, so maybe that's why it's hard, but still. We don't spend any time together at all. For birthdays it was always a thing, where my dad takes each of us out to do something special. Then something later as a family together. Even when my brother was living here with us, he always spent equal time, but now every time with him gotta be shared by everyone else. My birthday was on last Friday. We were supposed to go kayaking. And the thing is, Bryce's birthday is the same day as mine. So my dad tells me he's coming too so we could celebrate our both birthdays, but I didn't want that. I told my dad we never get a second to do something that only me and him. Yeah, he got other kids now, so it's not gonna be the same time we spend together, but we spend no time at all anymore. And I asked him for once if this can be me and him. He told me he's sorry we don't hang out anymore and he knows all the time is going to them. But it's Bryce's birthday too and he wants to come. It got me mad after telling him how I've been feeling. He still didn't want to make this only for me and him, so I told him I don't feel like going anymore. My dad told me to come with us, but I didn't want to. When they left, my brother came to pick me up after I told him what happened. He took me to eat and we went to the movies, which was fun. Now my dad thinks I'm the idiot for not choosing to go with my brother instead, when it would have been nice if I was with him and Bryce. Also that I owe Bryce an apology for skipping out and going with my actual brother instead. I don't know, he seems like really hurt because he wanted us to do this together and he won't say anything to me for right now. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Blending families can be tricky and it takes time to adjust, but everyone in the family needs to have their feelings considered. It's not fair or reasonable to expect you to suddenly be okay with doing everything with everyone all the time, to lose your personal space and privacy, and never get any one-on-one time with your dad, especially when he promises it to you and then changes plans at the last minute. Your dad needs to stop trying to force your family into whatever perfect family fantasy he has in his head and listen to you. Just remember that Bryce and Alan are having to make adjustments, too. Parents can't just expect the children to become one big happy family. Both parents should make sure their bio children are having some time with their bio parent, as well as having family time. They really should have found another way to handle the bedrooms. No one is happy going from their own bedroom to having two roommates. I am sorry this is so hard. I would try to have a talk with your dad about what you need. It's normal for kids and teens to want to spend one-on-one time with their parents. It's really not that hard for your dad to do this for you and your new brothers. I'm the oldest of 4 and hearing my parents say we can't all go because they need to give a kid some alone time with them was normal and accepted. However, you may want to talk to your stepbro and explain how you feel, why you didn't go kayaking, and that it had nothing to do with him. He probably feels like he personally is the reason for you not going and not the fact you wanted one-on-one time with your dad. My father passed away 5 years ago and I loved my dad. I'm still grieving him and in my life, no one can ever compensate for his physical absence. My fiancé knows that. He has a different relationship with his father as his dad divorced his mom and moved to another city when he was only 2 years old. He now has 3 half-brothers. He only reconnected with his father 2 years ago after his second wife, his half-sibling's mom, divorced him. At that time, we were friends and I was supportive about their relationship as I didn't want him to have any regrets. However, over the last 2 years his relationship with his father has definitely cooled down after excessive intrusion from his father when it comes to our relationship. Last week, he found out that we were getting married and called my fiancé saying that he had something important to tell us. We met him a few days later and where he practically started begging me to let him walk me down the aisle. Now, mind you, I'm Hindu, and the only reason I'm having a white wedding is because my SO is white and I wanted to respect both cultures. His desire comes from the fact that he lost his firstborn, my fiance's older sister, and didn't get to see her before she died. It was an accident because he lived in another city with his wife and kids. My fiance was 14 and his sister was 19. It was really traumatic for my fiance and my mother-in-law. Apparently he sees his daughter in me, wants me to call him dad. I call my mother-in-law mom because that's what fiance calls her, and now wants to walk me down the aisle. I always felt he was too intrusive and invested in our relationship, and his request sent me over the edge. I told him that I respect his feelings, but that he wasn't my dad, and that his newfound relationship with my SO won't guilt me into letting him walk me down the aisle. I also told him that I wouldn't be comfortable calling him dad, and that my dad is the only dad in my life, and he fully raised me from ages 0 to 25 years. When he kept insisting and started emotionally blackmailing my SO, I angrily told him to knock someone up, make a new daughter and leave me alone. He started ugly crying and left the restaurant. He is now mad at me and is refusing to come to our wedding. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your fiancé had to get really ugly to shut his dad down. Dad asked to walk you down the aisle, OP, and you politely declined, and that should have been the end of it. If your future father-in-law doesn't know how to take no for an answer, then it is high time he learned. If he now wants to ugly cry, pout, and won't go to his own son's wedding, well, that is on him. Frankly, you should be glad if he doesn't go. He may still show up and pester you at the last moment to let him walk you. Alert your bridal party, especially any strapping young men, to keep an eye out for him and keep him away from you. On your wedding day, you will have enough details to deal with without adding an entitled and demanding man to your list. What he asked of you was inappropriate to begin with. He asked you to walk you down the aisle and justified this ask because you remind him of his daughter. Not only is he trying to hijack your wedding, but he is also making it about grieving his daughter that he chose to move away from. You explained to him politely that it was a no and he kept pushing. Sometimes people are better left outside of our lives, and it seems like he may be one of those persons. Not the idiot. Just so you are aware, American wedding culture is pretty well set that the bride and groom make decisions on who is in the wedding, and then they ask said persons. No one, and I mean no one, should even be making the request to be at your wedding. To make such a request is tacky and rude, as it puts pressure on the couple and can be embarrassing if they have to tell the requester no. Everyone is supposed to wait for an invitation to participate, regardless of their role.